Let's talk about why women, and especially moms, suffer from low self-confidence and self-doubt. Welcome back, mompreneurs, to another episode of the Good Enough Mompreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Angela Michuli, and every Monday we have a new guest episode, and every other week I release a solo episode. And this week I want to talk about why women and especially moms suffer from self-doubt, and I want to help give you some information so you cannot fall into the trap for beating yourself up that you have low self-confidence or you're doubting yourself. So, number one, I've done a few episodes on busting confidence myths, and I think we have the false expectation that we are naturally confident. Maybe some people are. And some people tend to begin to beat themselves up because they aren't confident, like something is wrong with them. And honestly, everyone suffers from self-doubt. So you are not alone in that. Even somebody as successful as Taylor Swift absolutely at times suffers from self-doubt. So you are not alone. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. But there are ways to turn around the narrative around self-confidence. But it's something you truly have to cultivate. And there are different things in life that affect our self-confidence. And so let's start with a crucial fact. Women often face unique challenges when it comes to confidence. Studies consistently show that on average, women tend to be less confident than men. And this gap becomes even more pronounced for moms who navigate the demanding role of motherhood. Balancing the responsibilities of caregiving and household management, and often a career, can lead to an even greater erosion of self-confidence. The societal pressures to be the quote-unquote perfect mom can amplify self-doubt, making it vital for moms to reclaim their confidence, rediscover their strengths, and rise above the challenges that come their way. So we have all of these things that are in our lives that, without us thinking about it, just begin to really erode our self-confidence. And what are some of those things? You know, our society has many preconceived messages about how it looks at women. And men have it too, don't get me wrong, but I think that there is a lot more pressure on women of a certain age, whether they're too young or too old. How your physical condition is and how your mental health is. You can really lack confidence if you're struggling with a diagnosis for a physical or mental health issue. Your finances. You know, are you doing well in your career, in your education? Are you confident about how you learn? Are you confident about what you've learned in your life? Do you feel like you went to the quote-unquote right college, or did you go to college at all? There's so many messages out there about what is quote-unquote good or bad, and it also depends on what family structure you kind of grew up in. And, you know, as someone who grew up with a single mom who struggled to make ends meet and often worked 3 jobs, who I never knew my father. I didn't have the same last name as my mom because she remarried a few times. So all of those things kind of eroded my confidence growing up in the late 70s, 80s, and early 90s. And even into early adulthood, it always kind of affected me that we didn't have the same last name. And people who had traditional family structures that I didn't have, who even had a stable home life, really made me self-conscious and doubt myself and doubt my worth. So that is just one example of how things in our lives that we don't even have control over, especially as children, can begin to, erode our self-confidence. And we find ourselves as adults wanting to achieve certain things, but we're not sure why we can't or why we don't have self-confidence. And let me tell you another story from my days of being a Girl Scout troop leader. We had to go through this training where we had to learn, which I thought was really amazing, the expectations and the capacity of the young girls in about 3rd or 4th grade that we were leading. And I was so impacted by a statistic that they gave us, that the girls that we were leading were peaking in their confidence at the age of about 10 or 11, and that they would not recover in their confidence level until their mid to late 30s or even 40. So that's potentially 3 decades in a young girl, in a young woman's life where they are not feeling confident. And as a mom who wanted my daughters to grow up to be confident and do whatever it is that they dreamed was possible or what their passions were, it was so important for me to understand why this was happening. And biologically, I think a lot of it happens with puberty. Girls feel self-conscious and, boys feel self-conscious too. But I think, and I'll leave links to studies in the show notes, you can read them and make your own conclusions, that on the whole, women tend to lack self-confidence and men tend to be more overconfident. And it would be great to find some balance, and at least women can definitely be proactive in reclaiming and recovering their self-confidence. Other things that can affect your self-confidence are your body image, beauty expectations, and that varies widely among different cultures and different parts of the country and the world. We have listeners in 43 countries, so there are a range of expectations and ideas from societies and families on all of these topics. What are the gender stereotypes that you grew up in? What kind of messages did your mom maybe teach you, or if you had a mom? All of those things really impact our self-confidence and ultimately our self-worth. And what really magnifies all of those things is how much we use and are on social media these days. We can instantly open our phones, we can have a great day, see an image, and feel like nothing. So I think one of the really great first steps to cultivating self-confidence is understanding that we're constantly barraged with things that erode our self-confidence. So we really need to take a proactive stance around creating boundaries about the media, the people, the things that we allow into our mind and our world to help cultivate better, healthier confidence. So there are so many things that begin to, at a very young age, write our confidence story. And in my free mini course, 5 Keys to Confidence, we go through what is writing your confidence story. We talk about what affects our confidence, and we start to begin to go, oh, wow, maybe the reason I don't want to start that podcast, maybe that reason why I don't want to be on social media, maybe why I don't want to ask for a raise or start that business is because I had a series of things that happened to me throughout my life that are telling me a story that is untrue. And we learn how to start rewriting your confidence story and creating a roadmap forward. And honestly, confidence is an ongoing lifetime endeavor that you constantly have to be working on cultivating. And after 10 years as an entrepreneur and as a mom and spending thousands on coaches and courses, I realized that there is such a gap for teaching lasting confidence, especially to women and moms. So that's what I'm here to do as a certified confidence coach. I absolutely love turning on the light bulb for women and helping them realize how much they have an old story playing in their minds about their self-worth, about their self-confidence, and how to rewrite that story. So if you're interested in learning more, there is a link to my 5 Keys to Confidence mini course, and you can find that link and all that information in the show notes below. And then also, I'd love to invite you to our 100th episode celebration that is beginning the week of March 12th. We're going to have some jaw-dropping guests. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to have merch. We're going to have lots of fun things going on that week. You're not going to want to miss it. So be sure to get on my newsletter because then you get all of the details ahead of time. We have achieved so much on this podcast within 3 seasons, and I can't wait to celebrate all of that with you. So thank you so much. I hope you found this episode helpful. And sometimes just awareness is just the beginning to cracking the foundation of completely changing your mindset and creating a brand new life. So that has absolutely been my experience, and I love helping women and especially moms create that new life on their terms. I'm your host, Angela Mishuli. Thank you so much for joining me, and I can't wait to talk to you on the next episode. Bye.